came on this cruise because I think it's so important to expand one's knowledge of the world. And if I can give back even a little bit of what I've learned to some poor soul who hasn't been as fortunate as me, I shall die a happy woman. Cyril and I pored over the brochures for hours till I decided this was the one. It has to be one that gives us the broadest sense of other people's lives, I said to him. Travel, as my dear mother used to say, widens the mind. She was a woman of formidable sense and opinion, much of which is passed on to me, even though she never left Huddle a hole. And I do feel as though I am, dare I say it, a better person because of the sights I've seen and the places I've visited. Not everyone can gain from travel the golden nuggets that I have. It does take a certain sort of vision to see beyond the dirt and squalor of some people's lives and drink in the beauty of a simplicity of their existence. Cyril, for example, can't see beyond the nose on his face, and that's a massive impediment. All he cares about is who's at the bar and when the next meal is. I try. Goodness only knows I try, but to be brutally honest with you, I'm right on the brink of giving up. We've so little in common, it's almost laughable. And I do laugh. I can say things in company that goes right over people's heads, and that makes me want to die laughing. If only I could have found a kindred soul to share this thorny path through life. Sadly, I fear it isn't Cyril. We docked at yet another of those little islands yesterday. I can't remember the name. We've seen a lot of them on this trip. They all rather merge into one after a while. The same people dancing on the quayside, thrusting their grubby hands into your face, demanding that you look and buy. I do my best, but there's a limit to the number of colourful sarongs you can take home as presents. I've already got about 5 for Cyril's pathetic spinster sister. She's a librarian. Need I say more? And I know deep down they'll not be appreciated and will end up in Oxfam. Still, sort of double payment, isn't it? I expect the money gets back to them eventually. I like to do my bit. We had quite a moving experience, however, when we went on a coach to visit a typical village and an authentic shaman. That's what the brochure said. What a bloody shaman, said Cyril. It's a medicine man, I said to him. Going miles in this heat to visit a bloody quack, he grumbled. He went on. The coach was too full, he was too hot, our tour guide was a prat, he was hungry, you know the sort of thing. But I must say, I got such a lot out of it. We walked through the typical village, a simple place full of pretty little straw-covered huts. Children gathered around us, hiding their giggles behind their hands and waving palm leaves over us, although Cyril tried to spoil it all for me by pointing out the large rubbish dump full of plastic bags and beer cans. I bet that's medicine man's, he said, pointing to a large jag parked behind a tree. I ignored him. There were stalls selling gay local produce, woven baskets, painted beads, the usual sarongs, wooden carvings. I made Cyril do the bartering for me. Well, that's his trade, commerce. And after a lot of haggling, I got this rather unusual statue of, not quite sure what it is, a sort of man with a large grin and an even larger member. What do you want this rubbish for? Said Cyril. Still, I suppose you can always hang your bracelets on it at night. I ignored him. Potty mouth, I said. He does have a smutty mind sometimes. Our guide, who I must say speaks very good English, says it's a fertility god. That's no use to us, I said. We stopped after our Susan. Anyway, it'll be a good conversation piece when I hold my bridge evenings back home. The ladies will be impressed. They enjoy seeing the local artefacts I brought home from my travels. Marjorie's surpassed herself this time, they'll exclaim over their G&Ts. Our guide coaxed us towards a large open space. There was a bonfire piled up in the centre, obviously going to be some sort of ceremony, because the tribal elders emerged in long robes with drums and painted faces. We were offered little jugs full of ceremonial drink. As far as I could see, everyone declined theirs, but I accepted mine graciously. Well, you have to join in, don't you? Cyril gave me his disapproving look, so I took a huge gulp just for spite. We sat in a circle. I sat on the earth floor, even though it was extremely dusty, and I was in my yellow capri pants from Marshall and Snellgroves. All the old biddies, and there are hundreds of those on this, all the old biddies sat on the fold-up chairs that were hastily gathered for them, but I felt I really wanted the authentic experience. The medicine man was so impressive. Naked except for a simple loincloth, some dusty old beads round his neck and ankles, and what looked like dentures hanging from his ears. He was carrying this large pottery vessel, and every now and again would refresh his lips from it as he moved slowly round the circle, emitting this low, mesmerizing chant. The drums were beating, the villagers clapping in time. He was swaying. It was compelling. Occasionally, he would break into an energetic stomp with the odd leap in the air. I saw some of the old biddies close their eyes at this point. Let's put it this way, I don't think he was wearing his Calvin Kleins. A bit too real for them. I'm a woman of the world. He stopped in front of me. I knew he would. I could feel this connection between us. His eyes were wild and staring, and he squatted down and held his pottery jug for me to share. I could feel Cyril shuffling in the chair beside me, but I leant forward and sipped the offering. It was disgusting, but I knew I had to do it. I have a feeling there was something fermented about it because I felt very hot suddenly, very sweaty. The drums began to beat inside me, my insides vibrating with their rhythm, pulsing through me like an extra heartbeat. The dancers' faces swam into vision through the wisps of wood smoke, every line on their painted faces telling a story. Their staring eyes went straight into my soul. All of us joined together through the flickering flames. The earth spread beneath me. I sank into its warm chasm. Cyril grabs my hand, his voice distant as though he's shouting at me down a mine shaft. His face swims into vision, every imperfection magnified. I laughed at the absurdity of being with this strange creature, in this place, in this moment of time. You've gone all red, said Cyril. Your eyes are bulging. I decided not to tell him what he looked like. I couldn't speak at any rate. Your pupils, he said. They're huge. If Cyril could only have seen his whiskery nose from my perspective, with its purple craters and its horrific black spikes of hair. The medicine man gave a strangled sort of snort and stood up to the cheers, rather ironic, I felt, of our fellow travellers. If I could have stood up, I would have, and grasped his gnarled hand and thanked him, but sitting cross-legged had temporarily paralysed me. The potion seemed to have an effect on him too, for the loincloth, dangling in front of my face, developed a life of its own. It was quite riveting. I had to force myself to look away. But overall, such a rewarding experience. What a privilege to be able to join, even for a short while, in the everyday lives of our fellow human beings. That's what I mean about travel. I'm thinking of becoming a travel writer, or something of that ilk, just so that I can share. And that's the word I've been searching for. Yes, share my humble experiences with others less fortunate. I shall approach my local townswomen's guild as a potential travel writer as soon as we get back. I may even share my daily diaries with them. Travels on princess cruises.